Okie dokie, boys and girls. So, just training some push here. I'll explain in a moment what the training is consisting of. But first, I would like to talk about, how can you prevent yourself from falling into old habits when it comes to training, when it comes to trying to be more productive or whatever, Because I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he was struggling a bit, but we were talking to each other and saying like, well, oftentimes when we try to better ourselves, whether it be a new diet or trying to get stronger in training or to achieve something work or study related, right? Oftentimes you have this period that you can really do your best, and then you fall back into old habits of having a bad diet or scrolling social media, watching YouTube videos that you're not even interested in. Perhaps that's what you are doing right now. But how can you prevent yourself from doing that, right? And I think what helps a lot with that is to give yourself easily accessible options, because the reason you fall back on doom scrolling and bad diets is because they're readily available. You go to the supermarket and you find shit food. You open your phone and you have 1,000 distractions. Those things are the easiest accessible things around in your life. And when you compare it to, the choices you should be making, the things you should be doing, if you compare, opening your phone and scrolling Instagram to working, right, or studying, or you compare, going to McDonald's or ordering McDonald's compared to making a meal that's healthy, right? Well, some of these choices, if you don't think about them, one is way easier to choose than the other, and that's why you keep falling back on them. So I think it's important to take the time and basically think for yourself, what are some good options that are still easily available? So, for example, let's say that you have to study, right? And studying, it's something you don't like doing, so it's difficult for you to get yourself onto it, right? And that's why you keep doom scrolling. Well, at least what you can do is you can think of yourself for some other options, like if I'm not studying, is there something else productive that I can at least do, reading a book, going out for a walk, maybe doing some extra training instead of doom scrolling. Because the problem with that is once you get started on that easiest option, you can be stuck there for hours and it's gonna set you back. But if you only allow yourself to choose between, easy to choose productive things and maybe a bit harder to choose productive things, well, at least you're going to make progress somewhere. And I feel like, let's say, okay, you're supposed to study, but you went for a walk instead. At least you went for a walk, right? And it's going to get you in a more positive mindset to choose to study afterwards. Or for a diet, right? Maybe the best option for you is a fucking salad, but if you hate the salad, it's difficult to choose it, right? You would rather eat McDonald's, but I gotta do another set here. Let's talk about diet in a minute. All right. So diet, right? If you only give yourself the option of eating a fucking salad that you don't like, it's easy to fall back on previous habits of a bad diet because you just can't get yourself to eat the same thing over and over again, right? But if you have some in-between options of, okay, maybe not the salad, but some chicken breast, some, maybe a steak, right? Maybe a pot of yogurt with some berries, right? Something sweet, right? Those are still good options, right? Very good options. And you might like them more than the salad. You probably will. I know I do, right? But even though they're not the perfect option, they're still good options. They're still clean foods, right? You can eat some rice. You can eat pasta. Pasta is the clean food, right? it's better than McDonald's. And yes, you're not doing the ultimate low calorie meal that you maybe want to be eating, right? But that's still okay. You're still, you're still not falling back into old habits. You're still eating foods that are decently beneficial for you, right? And that's the most important part. Maybe that choice that you make then is not the most impressive or the most optimal choice, but it's still a good choice. And I think you have to stop aiming for perfection, right? When you aim for perfection, it's easy to then say, well, this was not the optimal option. I failed. I'm gonna quit. Aiming for perfection will kill your motivation. Instead, you can just aim for something that's better than yesterday, right? Let's talk about training, right? Let's say you decide to start training, you want to get strong, and you decide, yeah, well, every workout, I have to do 500 push-ups and absolutely kill myself, right? I have to be sore. Well, that's very nice, but after you've done it a few times, right, your body is going to be beaten down to shit. And when you then, need to take a couple rest days, it's easy to, one rest day turns into two rest days turns into 3, 4, 5, and before you know it, you're back on the gaming chair, not training anymore. Instead, what you can do is give yourself options. Okay, today I really don't want to fucking kill myself. All right, what can we do instead? Can we, do some gaming, doom scroll Instagram? No, absolutely forbid yourself from doing that. Instead, give yourself other options, right? You can go for a walk, you can go for a swim, a bike ride, you can do some light exercise, some rope skipping, I don't know, but give yourself other options that maybe are not aligned perfectly with your goal, but still, will get you there in the long run, right? It will get you closer to them. Those options are still, they're easier to choose, but still productive. And that's why, if you start choosing those easier options that are still productive, it's going to keep your motivation, on a high and basically prevent you from falling back into older habits. That's kind of my opinion. So third set here, and then let's talk about what kind of training we're doing today. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing some push-ups. Today's training is a light one because the last two planche trainings I really went balls to the wall. Lots of intense drop sets to the max. And just like I was saying earlier, that's something that I can't keep up training after training after training. So then I have the option of taking a day off, being lazy, but I also have the option of doing something in between, something that I'm still able to do, something that allows me to recover and still brings me closer to my goals. That's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna do 5 sets of lean planche push-ups, supinated. These will activate my biceps a little bit more, which is good because it's a weak area of mine. So that's definitely beneficial right there. And after these 5 sets are done, I'm also gonna do one intense set of planche holds. Just one of them, not 5, so that I can get a good stimulus in the planche for those heavier holds and basically recover from that to be stronger next time. But for now, 5 sets of 10 lean planche push-ups to get the blood flowing, and after that, we'll get to the next exercise. So 2 more sets, I guess, because I did one before I started recording, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so the lean planche push-ups are done. Now I'm gonna do one final set of full planche, even weighted. I'm gonna put 1 kilo between my feet and do a drop set. I'm just gonna do a 20-second planche set like I did last time. However, I'm gonna keep it to that one set and not do it over and over and over again. That being said, I'm gonna start off a bit heavier, by putting the weight between my legs like this. Hopefully it will hold up. Basically doing a max hold, dropping the weight, and maybe doing a push-up in between, but we'll see. So I'll go from 1 kilo planche to full planche to straddle planche to probably tuck planche before the 20 seconds is over, and it's going to give me one good stimulus. Now, I am not going to do presses in between. Push-up is fine. I'm not going to do presses because I want to keep my, the pressure on, basically. I don't want to rest in between. I want this to be one constant stream of pressure on the shoulders and the biceps. So if I do a push-up, that's quick. It doesn't really take a lot of time away, but when I go to a press, I have to find my balance, I have to go back. There's quite a lot of time being spent right there, and I don't want that right now because I want those 20 seconds to be hard. So yeah, I'm gonna rest up a little bit more and then do this set. It's gonna be fucking hard, but I'm looking forward to it, so let's go. Oh, maybe one more thing. Why the fuck am I doing this after the lean planche push-ups? Because this is more difficult, right? So I'm doing this hard set after the lean planche push-ups because today my goal is to let my body rest a little bit, right? I want to get good blood flow with a low intensity, and that's my main goal. So with the lean planche push-ups, I've reached that goal, right? I've gotten some blood in my arms. I don't even need to warm up anymore for this set, right? Because the blood is flowing, right? I got some planche stimulus and it was light, so I've got what I wanted out of that, and now I can spend the remainder of my energy on like one more set, basically where I go a bit deeper. But the good thing about this now is that, well, because I have done my main work already, I'm a bit tired, right? So I can't spend my full 100% on this final set. If I were to do this final set in the beginning, right, I would be 100% ready, right? I would have all the energy to basically attack that set, but that would also allow me to spend too much energy on it. While now my main goal has been achieved already, and I can use the leftovers to kind of have fun with this, to kind of get a deeper stimulus. It's kind of the same as you eat your dessert after the main course, right? Because if you start with your dessert, you're gonna be full before the main course even starts, and then you don't have any protein from the meat, right? So that's kind of the same thing here in the training. This is my dessert, right? It comes after the main course. The main course is, of course, the training that will get you towards your main goal of the training. So that's why I'm doing this last, even though it's more difficult. Holy shit. That's way more difficult than expected. I didn't think the push-ups would have this much of an effect on me. I mean, of course, the lean planche is as difficult as you want it to be, because if you lean forward more, it just becomes more difficult, but I thought I had a little bit more left in the tank. I'll say that much. Nonetheless, good stimulus. Very happy with this. Maybe I'll do one more sit. I don't know. It's kind of this thing of, I have to gauge if one more sit will benefit me. So I'll think about that, and then either you'll see me in the couch, or you'll see me on the P bars. Okay, so I lied. You will not find me on the couch or on the parallel bars. You will find me on the full lever bar because, lately, as some of you might know, I've been doing the Grease the Groove style, where Grease the Groove is you do multiple little trainings every day. So if you want to practice a movement, let's say the push-up, you do a couple push-ups a couple times a day, and it's far from your max. So you take an intensity that's below 50%, so something that you can do even on a tired day relatively comfortably, and by doing it over and over and over again multiple times a day, you get very good and efficient at the movement pattern. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. And basically 15 seconds of front lever. And this is also an example of just something that you can easily do, right? It might not be the training most optimal for you per se, but still, right? Even if you're not doing your ideal training, sometimes you're just there in fucking bed, tired, and you don't want to do anything, right? And then you can either, choose to do nothing at all, or still do something that's gonna be of benefit to you and your goals. So, yeah, that's just my opinion about it. But let's do the front lever hold. All right. Nothing really much of a struggle right there, but that's kind of the point, right? That's greasing the groove. You don't struggle. You want to train the technique, and in order to train technique, you can't be distracted by your muscles failing you. But, whew, that's it for today's training. A very short one, a very light one, but fun nonetheless. And hopefully it will be of benefit towards some planche goals, Next training, I hope to be fresh again for the planche and to smash out some holds. 15 seconds or more would be nice, but that's something we'll have to wait and see for. But anyway, regarding the talk in the beginning of the training, right? If you want to get rid of old habits, you have to kind of fill it up with something else. Because let's say for me, and this is just an example from my own life, I really struggle with just watching too much Instagram and being too much on YouTube. And while the cat memes on Instagram are very fun to watch, too much is never good, right? So what I did is I blocked Instagram to have a limit of 15 minutes a day, so I can watch 15 minutes of cat memes, right? These cat edits with rock music on it, I fucking love those, but it's limited to 15 minutes. And for YouTube and whatever apps, right, those are blocked until 5 p.m. So throughout the day, I don't really have a distraction. But if those old habits go away, right, suddenly there's a void. It's like when you're watching a series and the series is gone, you have this void. Something has to fill that up. And that's the same case with your bad habits, with your previous habits. And if you don't have something to fill it up, right, eventually things are going to trickle in again, Bit by bit, the floodgates are going to open again. And that's why I relapsed so many times with fucking social media, right? I would try to quit watching cat memes, or at least, hours a day. And then I would succeed for a while. And then because there's this void, I didn't fill it up, right? Once in a while, I would just watch more cat memes than I'm allowed to, I would remove the blocker on the application of Instagram. And then one day becomes 2 days, and 3 days, and 4 days, right? And eventually, I'll just be back to my old habits. But if you fill it up, right, that's less likely to happen. So what I do now is I bought some books, right? Born to Run, if you know about it, it's like a book about running and like a tribe. And those people are just geniuses when it comes to running, and it's their life. So it's a very interesting book. So now I don't only have the option of, watch Instagram or do something insanely productive, work, because I don't want to work all the time, right? I also have something in between, read a book, right? Which it's maybe like, okay, reading a book, is it the most productive thing I can do? No, but I'm still gonna learn from the book, right? And certainly, it's not gonna drag down my eyes, it's not gonna hit my eyes with blue light the entire time and prevent me from sleeping well, right? It's not that addicting that I'll be up until fucking 2 a.m. in the night scrolling on Instagram. No, I can read the book. After a while, I'm like, I'm done reading this book, and then I can go to bed. So even though the book is not, the most optimal thing to spend my time on, it's still way better than the Instagram option. And by filling that void of Instagram with the book, I'm able to keep my hands off of it. I'm able to, manage the 15 minutes. I'm able to, I'm satisfied with those 15 minutes. So that's kind of how I try to do it. But hopefully that advice is something that works for you as well, right? If you take something away in your life, no matter how bad it is, you also need to fill it up with something. And ideally, that something is better than the thing you were doing before. But that's it for today's training. I'm gonna have a shower and some breakfast, and I'll see you tomorrow for a pool day.